Hi friends, I am Dr. Suptik Mukherjee. I spent the last 17 years in the US as a scientist, starting as an international student from India. I obtained two Masters of Science degrees and a PhD degree in chemical physics from the US. I then went on to work in a Fortune 500 company and thereafter did 3 years of postdoctoral research. To help international students who want to study in the US, I started a startup called Confident Communication Services. In this video, I'll share with you tips and methodologies on how to study in the US for free, how to obtain advanced degrees as an international student. My journey and experiences can be the starting point of your career. To start with, let me go to the fundamentals. To get admission into a master's or a PhD program in any university in the US, you first need to have a bachelor's degree from your home country or anywhere else. That bachelor's degree can be a 4-year bachelor's, as with many engineering degrees, or 3 years of BSc plus 2 years of MSc. That makes you eligible to apply for admission to a master's in science program or a PhD program in the US. The next step is to take the GRE and TOEFL exams. The GRE exam consists of three parts: the verbal reasoning, where the score is between 130 to 170, the quantitative reasoning, which is also between 130 and 170 in 1 point increments, and analytical writing, which is measured between 0 to 6 in half-point increments. The GRE percentile point is also provided. A verbal score of 160 out of 170 might have a possible percentile score of 85%. Similarly, an 85% percentile in quantitative reasoning may require a slightly higher score of 166 or so. This depends on the score posted by others on any given day. The point here is, when one is looking for admission in STEM areas, STEM means science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the criteria for a good quantitative reasoning score is more important. One should always aspire to get the maximum score in quantitative reasoning, if possible, for admission to a good school or university, as they call it. This particularly when one is applying in STEM areas. The TOEFL has 4 sections: reading, listening, speaking, and writing, each having 30 points each. Total is 120 points. Anything above 100 is a good TOEFL score. Additionally, it is important to remember that when one goes to the center to take these exams, GRE and TOEFL, at the end of the exam, you can send the scores to 4 universities free of cost. For the rest of the universities, additional universities, ETS, the company that conducts the GRE and TOEFL exams, they charge a fee of $27 for GRE or TOEFL each, and you have to send both the scores. Make sure you have an international credit card to pay for reporting the score to additional university of choice. There's a tentative idea about a university where you may wish to apply before your exam scores are there or before you even take the exam, and the matching of your research interest with a professor at that university is extremely important. This must be done before you take your GRE and TOEFL exams. I will explain about how to choose a university in more details later. Now let me come to the deadlines and the fees for admission. The US admission has 3 seasons. The classes for the fall season starts in August September, and the deadlines for application is usually around January February depending on the universities. The spring season starts in January and the summer season starts around May. For international students, the best time to apply is for the fall seasons. Most scholarships are available then. There is a fee for application. The application fees vary between $50 to $100. The average is around $75. If one aims to apply for 7 universities, which I did during my time, in that case one can split up, which I had done myself, with 3 universities in tier 1, 3 in tier 2, and 1 in tier 3. This will hedge your possibility for admission. Before you prepare to apply, it is important to match your research interest with the interest of at least one professor in a department in US where you intend to apply. By matching interests, I mean it may be a good idea to write to the professor and ask him or her whether the person would encourage you to apply. Send an email attaching your resume and a few paragraphs on where your research interests match with the professor. For admission to a top tier university, it might be a good idea to apply with a few relevant research publications as well. The competition for admission to US universities is quite intense, particularly from China, where many students apply with prior research experience and some publications in the resume. Thus, working with any professor during your undergraduate years, within or outside your undergraduate university, to get a publication and a recommendation can be critical to get an admission. In my experience, it is more important than even your GRE and TOEFL scores. In my experience, it is important to get some kind of approval from the professor of a department in a US university where you are applying, because the same person can support your admission when the department meets to decide on the candidate to be admitted. Friends, now that you have your resume, 3 letters of recommendations, GRE and TOEFL scores, and some encouragement from a professor of a department you are planning to apply in the US, you need one more item. This is the statement of purpose, also abbreviated as SOP. This item is of extreme importance. The SOP is a story about your journey and how your journey has prepared and motivated you to apply for a master's or a PhD program. It is a story of how all your life experiences, inspiration, and your future goals have all converged to motivate you to apply for that program. Professors read your SOP carefully. On behalf of our organization, Confident Communication Services, we can also guide you in writing a good SOP. Now that you have all the documents ready, make sure you apply before the deadline. Make sure that you have an international credit card to pay for the application fees. But here comes the most important part. Should you apply for a master's in science or for the PhD program? If you are applying in the same area of study as you did during your undergraduate years, say in physics, and you are also applying to the physics department of a school in US, assuming your undergraduate GPA is good, GRE and TOEFL scores are good, recommendations are good, and you have a nice SOP, you for sure will get a scholarship after being admitted to a PhD program. Departments which are interdisciplinary in nature and accept students from physics, chemistry, and engineering also provides full scholarship for a PhD as long as the department is confident of you being able to handle the core courses. Non-core courses, which are not part of the PhD candidacy, can always be taken even outside the department. However, for Masters of Science admission, that is not a guarantee. On the other hand, you may enroll for PhD but can quit after you have taken sufficient courses. Each course is 3 to 4 credit hours, and a total of 30 credit hours is required for non-thesis masters. Once you have enrolled for a PhD, your course fees are paid off by the department, and on top of that, you get a salary or stipend every month. That may be somewhat around $15,000 to $30,000 a year, depending on the university. That is not a guarantee for a Masters of Science admission, even though some scholarships are available. A PhD takes 4 to 6 years of study, but you always have the liberty to walk away with a Masters of Science degree if you decide so. Once you have completed the required number of credit hours for a non-thesis masters and you wish to join the industry thereafter. But a PhD admission guarantees you a stipend and entire course fee paid, while a Masters of Science can cost a course fee of $30,000 or more depending on the university. A Master of Science degree at Tier 1 universities like MIT, University of Chicago, Stanford, Johns Hopkins, California Institute of Technology, Caltech, Duke, Vanderbilt, and Rice may cost somewhat around $60,000 or more for the tuition fees. Apart from this, you need funds for housing or food, that is another $10,000 to $12,000 or more. Even if you work in the campus, which is not more than 20 hours a week allowed for international students, you do not earn more than $15,000 to $20,000 in a year. That is not enough to pay your tuition, home rent, and food. While if you go for a PhD, the course fee is zero. Now, how does the department pay for your PhD program? Here, either the students gets a TA, teaching assistantship, or a RA, research assistantship. The teaching assistants teach undergraduate students, mostly helping them with their labs, while the research assistant work with professors doing research. Also, while applying for a visa, the visa officer at the US Embassy wants to ensure that you have enough money to pay for your tuition fees, housing, and food, and still have enough assets in your home country as reasons to come back after finishing studies in the US. A PhD admission is a certainty of getting a F1 student visa approval from the visa officer in a US embassy unless it involves areas like nuclear physics, biotechnology, dealing with viruses, and so on. We'll have a video on that as well down the line. Now that you know how to prepare for your admission process, whether to apply for a PhD or a Masters of Science program, it is important to start the work at least a year before the deadline. As part of Confident Communication Services, we can help you prepare the statement of purpose. We also plan to start a mock test every week to help you prepare for GRE and TOEFL exams. Our website www.confidentcommunicationservices.com already has lots of material to prepare for GRE and TOEFL exams. Take the time-bound mock tests Also, as scientists, we can guide you in deciding your career path based on your training and life goals so that you can reach your career destination goals as well. Good luck on your career journey. Do subscribe to our channel and do provide us your feedback through comments. Thank you.